welcome to another episode of Prado 120 Adventures, which is really turning out to be Prado 120 modifications. Not a lot of adventures recently, but we're doing some pretty solid upgrades to the car at the moment, so just want to get them all punched out before I start going out and testing all these mods. So next thing we're going to be working on the Prado is these remote reservoir rear shock absorbers. These are from Profender, who are a company out of Thailand, I believe, and they've been making premium suspension, really nice stuff for like off-road racing, buggies, all that sort of stuff, for quite a while. So these are very good product. Really interested to try these out. They're also remote reservoir as well, and adjustable. So they've got 8 stages of adjustability on them. So once they're in the car, I can have a play around with them. So I'm pretty sure they go from either being very firm or very soft. And to be honest, I've never tried them before, so it'll be interesting to put them on 1 and try it, and put them on 8 and try it and see what I like better. These are to suit a Prado with a 4-inch lift. They are a lot longer than the standard ones, especially the ones I have in there at the moment. So at the moment, the Old Man Emu that's in there, they have an open length of 580 and a closed length of 356, meaning they have a travel of about 224 millimeters from fully compressed to fully extended. These ones, on the other hand, have an open length of 670 millimeters. They close at 410, meaning they have a travel of 260 millimeters. So significantly more travel out of these, which will be good because the rear end is something, if you can get it to flex really well in this car, then it does very well off-road. It already does very well for its setup, but I want more, and it can flex more. It should be pretty easy to swap over. Yeah, fingers crossed. I've said that before, and then ended up there's a week's job that should have just taken me 3 hours, and suddenly the car's on stands for a week. So all I'm doing is taking the old ones out and putting the new ones in. There's no other, I'm not changing the springs or anything because they're relatively new. So it'll just be these shocks going in. So yeah, all it'll be, we'll jack the car up, just put some axle stands under there. We don't need to jack the car completely up so that the rear axle is fully flexed out. It just needs to be high enough to get the wheels off, and then it's simply a case of getting the old shocks off and putting these new ones in. One real benefit I see with these shock absorbers, they have a squared top, meaning that as you're putting this nut on and as it gets tighter it ends up just turning the shaft, meaning that, like you'll see with these Old Man Emu ones, you have to get a pair of multi-grips and try and grab this shaft and twist it, and it's just messy and pretty horrible and unprofessional. These ones have a squared off end, meaning you can put a spanner on the top and still use a ring spanner to undo the nylock nut holding the top on there, or do it up. So yeah, very good thing on their half. So I'll show you what comes in the kit. These are the Profenders in all their glory, all their shininess and blue and just looking amazing. They'll be different once they're covered in mud and whatnot, but for now I can oogle at them. So what do you get with it? You get new rubbers. So they have rubber bush top and bottom, washer, new nut, one left and right. You get a mounting kit for the remote reservoir. So there's a metal plate in there, some hose clamps, some rubber bits and pieces. I still don't know where I'm going to mount this yet, so I'm going to get the shock in and then play around with where the remote reservoir can stretch to and sit, and then I'll go from there. So yep, one of those for each side. And the most important bit, stickers. So they come with the small ones. I'm going to put these actually on the shock, I think, because you know, you've got to show your sponsors. Yeah, hey Profender, if you want to sponsor me, send me a message. So let's get started. This car going. You can see the nut is in here. For whatever reason, they've got a lip of body that sort of covers it. Still reach it. Get a spanner in from here. So this is a 19mm nut, so you can still fit a spanner on there to be able to access it, just opened end of course. If you've got a ratchet spanner, that'd be even better. I've only got a ratchet spanner that's 17mm, so it'd be low and slow for me with the 19. If I pull this black shroud down far enough and squeeze it, I can actually see the top of the shock absorber in there. If that starts spinning while I'm trying to undo this nut, then you just have to get a big pair of multi-grips in there, grab it as hard as you can and try and turn the nut and get it off. If you've seen my recent video of upgrading the bottom bushes on these shocks, then I applied some anti-seize up here, so fingers crossed I won't have any problems, but Murphy's Law, now I've said that, it's going to take me 3 days to do, so let's get into it. Now you've got to make sure to try and catch this nut any way you can when it comes off the top, otherwise it'll roll down into the chassis somewhere and you'll hear it forever but you'll never see it again. So any way you can, try and catch it. Yes, gotcha. That wash can come off as well. So one of the best things about these Old Man Emu shocks is they give you these stone guards that go on the bottom of the shock absorber, and these have an extrusion that comes out and protects the lower shock bolt. If you hit anything, it will bend this bit. I mean, it's not indestructible, but the good thing is it protects the actual hex head of the bolt. It's just held on with tension by two 10mm nylock nuts, so we'll just undo them now. Now that's loose, so I can lift it up out of the way, and I'm just going to tighten one of these nuts. Now that that's out of the way, we can get to this bottom bolt. Is a 17mm. These are usually done up with some thread locker, like Loctite or equivalent, so they will take a little bit to get off because you don't want them coming off, because they're all that holds the bottom of the shock on. It's just held on, it's just slid on with the rubber. And now all we need to do is slide the bottom of this shock off the mount. Once it's off, because we've taken the top nut off, it should just drop out, and then the shock itself will fully extend just because of the gas in it, and then we can get out of the way. So here are the two shock absorbers next to each other. You can see the open length there is quite different. The ends are up at the same spot. This Profender one will actually extend a little bit further as well, just once it's actually under load and pulls it out. So yeah, that should move another 20mm. Yeah, you can see how manky this one is. It's really seen better days. It does still operate okay, it's just not very smooth and it makes a bit of noise when you let it out. And also the ends are very rotty compared to nice new ones. That's what I meant about the square tip on it as well. It means you can get a spanner on there if you need to. So we're just going to be basically putting the boots on the Profender ones. I'm going to put the sticker on there as well.
Tomorrow for sure.
Well, this shock absorber's dead. Oil leaking out. Now I remember this one was pretty gone. Doesn't even rebound anymore. So looks like this one's a bin job. Good time to replace it, eh? After having a bit of a play around with the remote reservoir of where it can actually fit on this side, there's a lot more going on. You've got the mount for the rear fanhard rod, and you've got the exhaust there, and there's a little bit less space. So I'm going to have to mount it against the chassis in here. I'm just going to find a spot, mount it, and then put the tyre back on, because I want to see if it's going to touch that line. Obviously the line will be secured to the chassis. I'll find some proper P-clamps and do this side and the other side. There's one threaded bolt, one threaded nut in the chassis that you can see there. So that's all mounted up. You can see there where it sits. Basically there's a bolt going through there to hold it to the chassis rail. It's on there nice and tight, and even if it rotates it's not a big deal because the actual hose will hold it straight. But the hose clamp's quite easy to get to, which is nice. I just don't like how it's kind of close to the exhaust hanger, but if you need to get that rubber off, it's not that hard to undo 2 hose clamps and move the canister. Just use a cable tie there to hold it in place until I can get some P-clamps, and then I'll neaten it up, make it a bit nicer. But apart from that, it's all done. I just put the tyre back on to check the clearance, and it looks quite good. Yeah, it won't be until I actually flex it that I'll see how close it gets to this hose. But so far it looks really good, shouldn't be a problem. So there you have it guys, just the rear shock absorber install onto my Prado 120. Very happy with the Profender product. All the fittings that they have really show that they are interested in developing a quality product. Even things like the rubbers, the washers, the nuts, everything that's supplied with it is really premium. So very happy with these, they will perform quite well. I will get some flex shots and measurements and things like that just to show you the difference between a standard run-of-the-mill 2-inch shock versus a full performance 4-inch shock for the rear. This is only running, I've got 3-inch springs in the rear here, so should be a good compromise between the two of them. I will be replacing these cable ties with P-clamps once I get the chance in the next few days. And apart from that, they'll be pretty much all done. I will just get to play with the adjustability to see how they go with things like long trips, low range stuff on the sand, all that sort of thing. So that'll be interesting to work out in the future. So thanks for watching guys. If you like the video, feel free to like, subscribe. There's a little button down right here where there's a little bell. Click on that and you'll get notifications every time I put a new video out. So yeah, got a few more things up my sleeve to go before I'm sort of happy with this vehicle. So stay tuned and yeah, follow me on my build. Also I have an Instagram account as well. It's toddyboy56. I'll put it up on the screen here. So feel free to follow me there and you can see all the update photos of what sort of things I'm going to be doing to the car. So thanks guys, I'll catch you later.